Alright guys, so what do we get with Adele's newest album, 25? Well, you see, I'd love to rave about this album, tell you how good it is, how amazing it is, but we just have a slight problem in that this album the format, the whole style, the themes, everything about it, it's just too similar to Taylor Swift's 1989. Yeah, I mean, just too many similarities, the sound, not even necessarily sound-wise, but just what they're talking about. Adele is almost blatantly copying the style of Taylor Swift and isn't really altering it that much. No. That's probably what some, diehard Taylor Swift fans think, but that is not the case here. I was actually debating doing a side-by-side review of this album and 1989, and why this album exceeds where 1989 doesn't, but fuck it, just a brief mention. Why this album is so good in comparison to more love-sap cliche albums like 1989 is this album actually does a justice in doing it. It makes you feel for the character. It's not just sitting down and okay, Taylor Swift, go ahead and tell me about your love issues. This is Adele being like, okay, I'm going to try and build a connection to my listeners who we can both go through this heartbreak, this times when I actually had this slight enjoyment in my life together. We'll both feel this. You're not just going to hear me whine about my issues. You're going to actually feel what I feel, so we have a connection, and you'll actually feel like this is a deserving music. You can actually listen to this anytime you want and actually get something out of it. Whereas the love songs on 1989 just briefly told you about Taylor Swift's issues like Wildest Dreams. She's just going through this very simplistic, almost dulling issue about this boy problem she has, and really, I couldn't care less. But when Adele goes into description about a heartbreak or issue that she has with a guy, you feel for her no matter what your sex is. You just want Adele to get that love back. You want to support everything she does, and you feel for her. You want to cry, you want to laugh, you want to share every emotion that she has on this album, and that's where it exceeds most. I want to bring up the track I Miss You, because on that track, Adele was basically capturing everything that her music is about. It's about missing some guy or missing some aspect of life that she feels deeply heartbroken or her heart is deeply connected to that topic. And that song shouldn't have been a song that she made, considering the fact that it's just blatantly, I miss you as a guy. Well, isn't that what the root of all of her love songs are about? Just missing a guy? So to me, the theme of that song, I was a little curious. I'm like, how are you going to make this so it's a little more intriguing than your more in-depth love songs? Well, that's where it really takes the best turn in this newer album Adele is offering us. Whereas Adele may not be choosing the best in-depth subject matter, she's still filling the atmosphere of the song to the brim without overfilling it. You get the sense that Adele is truly missing this guy, and she's on the floor crying about it because of how broken up she is about it, and you can feel that way for her considering the amount of atmosphere she uses to make you feel that way without overfilling the atmosphere and making it too overwhelming. It only gets contributed by a backing echoing drum set and some haunting vocals, and really just amplifies the text in which Adele is speaking to you. She's describing a situation to you. It is not only making her words the powerful part of the music, but she's relying on the instrumentation and the whole atmosphere of the track to carry across the emotion, which it does perfectly. And that's really the only time in the album where I felt Adele was skimping out on this subject matter, even though the atmosphere excelled it to be an amazing track. The other times on this album, she is really giving us some new material that, although may sound kind of relatable back to her old work, is new in its own interesting way and concept. You would think Adele just growing old in her high state of fame, she isn't going to really experience anything new, but she's still able to not only recall facts of her life, but also have some issues that we wouldn't even think Adele would have onto this music. Like on the track Million Years Ago, where essentially she's saying, way back in the day when she used to be almost like a nobody in her town, she was well respected amongst the people and liked. Probably because she could sing, but wasn't all that famous. However, when she moved away, became more famous, she moved back and people weren't all that liking her all that much, but to me it was one of two reasons. One, because they were envious of her. You may like somebody and happy for them, but you're going to feel that envy. But to me that wasn't that overpowering of a hatred feeling. I think it's more so the fact that most of her material comes from personal experiences, and people don't like exploitation of the relationships that they've had with Adele. So they're not all that intrigued with what she's been doing, considering they've been kind of talking about the relationship that was supposed to be sacred between them. So when she returns back to the place that she was from, people don't exactly like her all that much, and that hurts her. She wished she could just go back to the day when everybody loved her, and she would have to give up her fame, but she almost feels it would be worth it to rebuild those relationships, those cherished non-based off the fact that she's rich and famous relationships that she had just being a genuine friend to people. Hell, even the times when she's talking about a relationship. Now, I liked A Million Years Ago because it was something we weren't used to Adele talking about. She was talking about her own personal life, non-relationship-esque. But even the times on this album when she's getting into the relationship stuff, the stuff that we've heard from her, she still manages to bring a fresh, new material to the game, and it sounds really, really good. Like, for instance, on the track, River Leah? I think it's River Leah. But regardless, she goes into explanation how she goes through relationship after relationship after relationship, hoping that this one guy is going to complete her, but it never does. And what ends up happening is the guy feels that she has a connection to Adele and ends up getting his heart broken by Adele just not wanting to be with that guy. She doesn't mean to break his heart in this way. She honestly wants to feel that connection that she's had with a past lover. But for some reason, she just can't get that connection. And then when she wants to break it off because she doesn't have that connection, she ends up breaking the guy's heart. And she hates that about herself, but she's craving that feeling of love that she can never successfully feel. And the river ties into it because it's just kind of like a way, back in the day, it was kind of like a river that runs through England, and it quite possibly could be a river that she's gone to just to kind of think. You know, you go to a scenic place just to stand there and just look at and get in a deep thought. That's what that river was to her, and it related back to her just having these deep relationship issues and not wondering what's wrong with her and why she can't feel that same love that she's been craving ever since that one time with that guy. Or on All I Ask, where she knows that she's getting ready to break up with a guy. Her and the guy both know it. The guy's like, alright, this relationship's over, but she's like, yeah, I know the relationship's over, but before we break up, before we, like, tomorrow when it's all over and said and done, can you just hold me one more time like when we first got together and we actually loved each other? Can I get that feeling of love just one more time? That's all I'm asking. And even when it does happen, she still feels incomplete, and that's what's so heartbreaking about it. All she wants is one more night when she can feel like they're a legitimate couple and feel the love warming in her heart. But even when that does happen, she knows it's going to be stripped away within the next couple hours when they have to leave each other. And that makes her so sad, and that's what makes this a depressing track. Even the title track, Hello, which I mentioned in my single review for it, it's extremely heartfelt and goes into explanation about a problem that she had with a guy and really makes you feel it. I'm glad that it's a hit single because it's not just some bullshit pop song, it's actually some real emotion that people should care about and support Adele for making. This album, to me, came damn near flawless, considering the fact that, I'm just reiterating what I said in the beginning of the review. She makes you feel what she wants you to feel. She doesn't just shoot it at you like, alright, this is my problem. If you like it, so what? No, she's actually building a bridge between the listener. She's like, okay, I'm trying to connect with you so you can feel what I'm feeling. And not only does she does that with new, like, not exactly like new subject matter, but subject matter we haven't exactly heard from her or elaborate upon on this album. 21 did have some times that elaborated, like Someone Like You and Rolling in the Deep, but there were other times when it just felt a little bit just wasn't exceeding the goals that Adele had set for her own self. They weren't elaborating or setting up a good atmosphere to that extent. On this album, either song is either getting into a good subject matter or it's setting up great atmosphere, and the times when it does both are just miraculous. Even on the specifically designed upbeat tracks like Send My Love to Your New Lover, with the backing guitar strings and that nice bass to it, it still managed to give across the idea that Adele has been through so much in her life that she isn't going to care whether you're trying to get another girl. Like, she's dated this guy and they broke up, and now he's trying to get a girl to make her jealous, and he's like, that's petty stuff. Like, what are we, in 4th grade? I don't really care. And it's a really good upbeat song, a really good empowerment track without being too empowering. Like, Firework by Katy Perry, for example, was blatantly trying to get you to spark like a firework and be yourself. Was it a necessarily bad track? No, it was pretty good. But this track right here exemplifies the ideology of her having a concept that relates to her and the listener and not making it too extreme to the extent of making you want to stand up for yourself. This track makes you want to stand up for yourself as an empowering person without blatantly telling you to do so. And one of the best aspects that I love about this album in its entirety is how it ties itself together. At the beginning, we get a track, Hello, and she makes a brief mention of the fact that she's done this stuff a million times, talking about her relationship issues, and that you should still care about her because she has a lot to say, but you're still going to hear similar subject matter to in her past. But then on the last track, Sweetest Devotion, we get her talking about how she's found a new purpose in her life. For years, Adele thought the only option, the only outlet she had was talking about some hardcore romance shit that made her listeners want to cry in their pillowcases. With Sweetest Devotion, she's describing a situation where she has her child, this is actually happening. She has her child that is now young but still, I don't know how old, like maybe 2 or 3, but a young child. And she now feels that she can dedicate her time to this child and have a new happiness. This emptiness that she felt with missing a man in her life, can be fulfilled by having this child that she can take care of and love and will love her back. And that is just such a sweet message. I'm sorry, I'm tearing up a little bit, but it just goes to show you the fact that the intro, Adele with Hello, it made you feel like she was going to maybe backtrack on her concepts or spit the similar same things. But she ties up the end of this album by saying she finally has something new in her life. And this album in itself was almost like a growing process for her. She made this album so elegantly, so beautifully, so atmospheric, so almost gritty at some points during this album to make the statement of this is the evolution that she's had throughout her whole life, and now she finally feels at place. She finally feels at whole with herself, at peace with herself, that she has this new devotion she can give with her child, and she finally realizes that life isn't as so black and white with all these relationship issues, and she can be happy once again, and that's why this album is so fucking amazing. Okay, now if you want to pinpoint a flaw for this, you can't. It's not possible. But if you wanted to nitpick a flaw, then go ahead. And that one might, for me, be the fact that you get songs like Water Under the Bridge that are executed fine. It had a nice backing chorus and also had a nice piano melody going for it. But for me, it just felt a little bit like she was getting a little too simplistic with it and not setting up the best atmosphere. Like I said earlier, her strengths is when she's setting up a fantastic atmosphere and a great subject matter. But here it almost felt like it was skipping out on both of those for a combination of half and half. And it wasn't exactly the best track on here, but it was still enjoyable for what it was. She's getting over a relationship, Water Under the Bridge. The guy's trying to apologize, and she's like, I've been there, done that. I know how you're feeling, so I'll accept your apology. Slightly overwhelming, but not by any means. It doesn't really diminish this album all that much. Just some times where you might feel like, this isn't exactly up to par with other songs you've heard on this album, and that's really all the downfall you're gonna hear on this thing. Overall, this album is really, really, really good, and I'm not regretting my purchase whatsoever. I support Adele in everything she does because I appreciate the fact that she respects the hell out of her audience and knows that her audience is mature enough to hear what she's saying, respect what she's saying, and care about what she's saying. The lyrics, the vocals, the instrumentation, the atmosphere, the whole feel for the album, everything is on point, and Adele executes it perfectly. This is definitely something you guys should check out because it's worth it. Go ahead and buy this album because it's totally worth it. It's not that much. It's worth every single song you hear on here, and yeah, that's all I got for you guys. It's totally worth checking out, no matter under what circumstances. Even if you aren't a pop fan, this still is going to make you feel some type of way. And you can get something out of it, even if you're not into Adele's music. It's really, really good. And that is all I got for you guys. If you'd like to like or subscribe, that'd be awesome. I really appreciate it. And until next time, Soulless Reviews.